The Galactic Defense Force Command Center hummed with the usual cacophony of 1,000 alien species working in orchestrated chaos. Commander Zarthik, a towering Valkyrian with chitinous armor plating and 4 precise eyes, stood before the newest batch of recruits with barely concealed disdain. His gaze lingered on the human slouched at the back, Ken Martinez looking utterly unremarkable in his ill-fitting uniform. "This is what Earth sends us?" Zarthik clicked in his native tongue, though the universal translator rendered it in flat, disapproving tones. "A creature that looks like it would break in standard gravity training." Ken didn't react. He simply stared ahead with those strange, soft human eyes. His posture relaxed to the point of appearing lazy. Around him, recruits from warrior species, Crothians with their razor-sharp exoskeletons, Thurians built like walking tanks, stood at rigid attention. The human looked like a child's toy among weapons of war. Mia Chen, the only other human in the battalion and a senior analyst, watched from the observation deck. She'd seen this before. The galaxy never understood humans until it was too late. The assessment trials were brutal. Zarthik designed them that way. Recruits faced simulated combat scenarios that pushed them to their biological limits. Ken failed spectacularly at every physical test. His strength was laughable compared to species that evolved on high-gravity worlds. His speed was pedestrian. His armor compatibility scores were the lowest in his cohort. "Useless," Zarthik declared after the 3rd day of trials. "I don't understand why humanity bothers sending representatives at all. Your species is soft, weak. You belong in administrative positions, not combat roles." Ken simply nodded and returned to his quarters. Mia found him later that evening in the observation lounge staring out at the stars. "He doesn't get it," Mia said softly, sitting beside him. "None of them do," Ken replied. "They think war is about who hits hardest, who runs fastest. You could tell him what you did before joining. And ruin the surprise?" Ken's lips quirked in a slight smile. "Where's the fun in that?" 3 weeks later, everything changed. The Peace Summit on Station Epsilon 7 was meant to be a turning point. 12 rival species finally agreeing to discuss territorial disputes. The Galactic Defense Force provided security, with Commander Zarthik personally overseeing the operation. It was supposed to be ceremonial, safe. The Syndicate had other plans. They came during the 3rd hour of negotiations. 15 elite assassins from the Shade Collective, a mercenary group so effective that even mentioning their name caused fear among military commanders. They materialized from stealth fields, weapons already firing, moving with inhuman precision. Chaos erupted instantly. The honored guards, those same warriors who had excelled in every trial, were cut down in seconds. These weren't simulation enemies. These were killers who had toppled governments. Zarthik watched in horror as his best soldiers fell. The assassins moved like liquid death, their adaptive camouflage making them nearly impossible to track. They were heading for the delegates, and nothing stood between them and their targets. Nothing except Ken Martinez, who'd been assigned to perimeter patrol, essentially guard duty for the useless recruit. Mia was monitoring from the security center when she saw it happen. Ken didn't freeze, didn't panic. He simply had changed. The lazy posture vanished. Those soft eyes became something else entirely, calculating, cold, aware. He moved into the shadows not to hide, but to hunt. The first assassin died without realizing a threat existed. Ken materialized behind him, a combat knife appearing in his hand as if conjured from nothing. The motion was surgical. One strike precisely placed, and the elite killer dropped without a sound. Zarthik, rallying his remaining forces, caught a glimpse of movement. For a moment he thought another assassin had flanked them. Then he recognized the human. Ken moved through the station like he'd designed it himself. While alien warriors relied on superior strength and technology, the human used something the galaxy had forgotten. Pure, refined lethality learned from a species that had warred with itself for millennia. The second and third assassins fell to traps. Ken improvised from station equipment. The fourth died to his own weapon, turned against him through technique the alien had never encountered. Ken didn't fight harder. He fought smarter, using the environment, using psychology, using the assassin's own assumptions against them. "What is he doing?" Zarthik breathed, watching through security feeds. "Hunting," Mia answered simply. "On Earth, we call it asymmetric warfare. When you're not the strongest, you become the smartest, the most adaptable, the most ruthless. Ken disabled the fifth assassin's stealth field using nothing but a reflective surface and precise timing. The sixth fell to a pressure point strike that no alien anatomy instructor had ever taught because humans knew the weaknesses in ways other species didn't. They'd spent thousands of years finding ways to kill each other efficiently. The remaining 9 assassins realized something was wrong. They were the hunters being hunted. They regrouped, their leader hissing into communications in a language that translated as, "There's something wrong with the human." But regrouping meant stopping, and stopping meant Ken had already anticipated their location. He'd been herding them like prey animals, using their own instincts against them. The firefight that followed lasted 47 seconds. Ken used angles, timing, and audacity. He made impossible shots not through superior marksmanship, but by understanding how opponents would move, where they would take cover, what their training would tell them to do. He'd been trained not by one military, but by the combined knowledge of dozens of Earth's Special Forces units, tactics refined through centuries of increasingly sophisticated warfare. When the last assassin fell, Ken stood among the bodies, breathing hard but controlled. His uniform was torn, blood, not all his own, staining the fabric. He looked up at the security camera where he knew Mia would be watching and gave a slight nod. Zarthik approached slowly, his 4 eyes wide with something between horror and awe. Around them, the surviving guards stared at the human who'd seemed so useless, so weak. What are you?" the commander finally asked. Ken holstered his weapon, wincing slightly from a wound in his side. "I'm a human, Commander. We're not the strongest, not the fastest, but we've been killing each other creatively for 10,000 years. We're very, very good at it. Your file said you were a new recruit. My file said what I wanted it to say." Ken's expression was unreadable. "On Earth, I was a special operations soldier. Counter-terrorism, hostage rescue, high-value target elimination. I retired, got bored, figured the galaxy might be more interesting." Mia joined them, medical kit in hand. As she began treating Ken's wounds, Zarthik watched the human with new understanding. The galaxy measured warriors in strength and ferocity, but humans had evolved in a world where they weren't the apex predator. They'd learned to win anyway. "I underestimated you," Zarthik admitted, a rare concession for a Velkarian commander. Ken grimaced as Mia sealed a cut. "Everyone does, Commander. That's kind of our thing." The delegates were saved. The station was secure, and across the Galactic Defense Force, a message began to spread. The humans might look weak, might seem soft, but they were the species that had turned warfare into an art form. They were persistence hunters on a cosmic scale, and the galaxy was just beginning to understand what that meant.